Well, hi everybody, ZEf Zan here. Sorry for the delay because I had tech issues, and I shall share that in a little bit what I did. And it's just like, oh my God, I did a rookie move, which was update my computer right before I went live. Like, what were you thinking, Zeph? Anyways, I just wanted to come on quickly, and before I bring up my guest with me today, I just want to say welcome to broadcast, everybody. This is ZEf Zan Live. Keep it moving, sharing conversations, COVID-19 conversations about how, we all are living our lives amid this crisis, how it has, probably affected our lives, our business. So I am sharing my connections from all over the world and having, like reconnecting with all of them and bring them back on my show so we can have this conversation. So if you're here and if you're tuning in for the first time, please say hello so I can say hello to you back. Go ahead and say hello in the comments so I can show what is what you all are writing up on screen. So let me just bring her on right now. Hey girl, how are you? Hi Shannon.
Hi, Zeph. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh my God, I am actually breathing better right now just because earlier I was like, Zeph, what were you doing? And I'm thinking I wanted to restart, but what I did was I hit update and restart. Like, folks, if you're doing any kind of live broadcasting from your computer, don't do that when you're going on in 5 minutes because they never go reboot in time. So, Shannon, how are you doing amidst this craziness that we all are living in right now?
I'm doing okay. My voice might be a little hoarse today. Yesterday was a better health day than today. As I told you, I've been battling being sick for a couple of weeks now. And so I'm just trying to keep it moving. I'm limiting my calls and meetings so that I can rest my voice for an hour or two in between. And so hopefully I'll be okay to get through this without losing it.
We all need to be okay, right? And I first of all, I want to say thank you for saying yes to coming on the show because I
Absolutely.
know since we're all at home, I thought it'll be a great activity. We are doing social distancing, right? But we are not in the same room, so this is good. So one of the things, Shannon, that I kind of like started, when I had people reaching out to me and asking me like, how do I bring work social, how do I bring my work online, how do I use this live broadcasting? And it just dawned on me, like, I have so many of these global connections, and I'm like, why am I not bringing them on to let them share their COVID-19 experiences, life experiences, whether it has affected the way they do business or life per se or daily routine. For me, I kind of share it with everybody. I don't know if this applies to you because you're a busy entrepreneur, busy bee, just like me too. You're always on the go. But I shared in many of my broadcasts that, amidst COVID-19, crisis, it really hasn't changed much to the way how I run my business or my lifestyle. First of all, I'm Asian. Hey, I stock my pantry, or I buy toilet paper and like I buy them a lot. I hardly go to the grocery store. That's one thing. That's just like nothing for me. I don't go to grocery stores a lot. Two, I work from home. This is my space. This is how I roll. So, what has it been like for you?
Yeah, it hasn't been a whole lot different for me. Being an entrepreneur, I work all the time as well. And I do work from a co-working space usually. I feel like I'm more productive when I get out of the house.
Mhm.
But having it hasn't been that difficult working from home because my team is distributed. We all work from our own computers, from our own spaces. We're not generally together. We'll come together for meetings and things like that. But we generally work distributed anyway, so it hasn't really affected us from that perspective. The biggest effect for me has been being sick and trying to keep things moving forward while I'm trying to battle this.
So tell me about, when you say sick, are you affected, or are you just getting a regular common cold? What is it?
Well, The first week I was having just like shortness of breath and tightness in my chest. I thought maybe allergies, but I didn't have any other allergy symptoms, and allergy medicine wasn't helping. And then all of a sudden, about a week and a half ago, I just started coughing out of nowhere, and it was really bad. And so my doctor did send me to the ER for chest x-ray and a COVID test. And I pretty much have all COVID symptoms at this point in time: the lightheadedness, dizziness, extreme headache, chest tightness, shortness of breath, coughing, all of that. And my COVID test came back negative. And the doctor seemed a little surprised by that and said, I want you to keep operating as if you have it, though, stay quarantined, rest, fluids, all of that. And it's possible it's a false negative. And so when I started looking into false negatives, I found that 30% or more of tests are inaccurate and they're coming back as a false negative. And so there's still a good chance that I have it. But who knows? So I've just kind of been keeping myself quarantined and healthy.
How long have you had these symptoms?
About 2.5 weeks now. Yeah.
Wow. And is there were you told or unexpected, get better time, or are you just asked to self-quarantine?
Just self-quarantine.
Wow.
At least 2 weeks, at least 14 days. So from when I first saw the doctor. So the end of this week, really Sunday, would be 14 days from like those first like major symptoms and everything.
Wow, that is so, it's not every day that I get to speak to somebody who went through this, and I'm sure folks out there are just like, oh wow. But I think, how can you share a little bit of like, what was the first reaction when you heard about it? Was that fear, or were you coming from a space of like, you know what, I'm gonna get this handle? Because I would love to hear hands-on, from you, your experience, because we're all different, yes, for sure. But I think it's nothing like speaking to to the person who actually has gone through it, and what was the mindset that you had to like overcome this fear. Would you share that a little bit with us?
At first it was kind of like, oh shit, I hope I'm not getting this. And I was nervous, and definitely going to the hospital was really scary. Especially because my husband just dropped me off at the door and drove away, and we weren't sure if he was going to be able to come back and get me. There's no visitors, nothing. And it's like walking into a doomsday infectious disease movie. So that part was a bit scary. But as the days wore on, I had to wait a week for my test results. I kind of became resolved that the illness was so bad that it was like, I kind of just hope it comes back positive so I can say I've done it, I've been through it, and I'm over it. And I honestly had mixed emotions when it came back negative, because I feel like I have it. And so whatever it is, it's miserable. And I'm the kind of person that's just resolved myself that I need to make sure to slow down and rest. And I honestly haven't really had a choice, because my body is telling me stop. So
Wow. I bet it is scary to kind of, experience that. And I think, because I think we never would have thought in our lifetime that we actually will be going through some sort of pandemic, and, but I'm glad people are practicing social distancing, so that's great, right?
yeah.
So I often ask, like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a small business owner, like, how has it affected you and the way you work? Because I've been approached, and I'm not saying this because this is how I work or whatever, but I've been hearing more people saying the same thing and reaching out to me like, I don't know how to take my business virtually. Like, I feel like my whole business, process or system has just been uprooted, and I have to figure this out. What is one thing that this crisis has changed the way you work or the way you do business?
Yeah. Again, I've been pretty lucky because my business is a virtual business for the most part. We are a SaaS software that people purchase online, and they can use both in person and online. And so it hasn't made a big difference from that perspective. So, But where it has changed is making sure we're all staying connected, staying on top of people. It's a lot of web meetings and online meetings and phone calls versus in-person type of meetings, which is something different for me because I'm a very in-person, high-touch type of person. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been the biggest adaptation for me. And then from a business standpoint, we've had to make some quick adjustments in our priorities and the work that we're doing to make sure that we can support online meetings and events, because our software, even though it's a web-based software, it was originally built for in-person meetings and events. And so we kind of had to drop our priorities of what we were working on and really quickly shift to build an integration to support video conferencing and audio conferencing within the software. So we just built an integration that supports Zoom or Google Meet or WebEx or whatever it is that you're using. And so it shifted our business really quickly, and we had to adapt from that perspective.
I'm glad you actually are saying that you had to adapt. But before we keep on, I'll continue with that conversation. Hi, Angela, and hi, whoever's here. If you're watching this, we are. I'm having a conversation with my friend and fellow entrepreneur and Shannon Malkin Daniels here, and we're just having conversations about COVID-19, how it has affected our lives, but how what are we doing to keep things moving. And you just gave us a perfect example that you had to roll with the punches, make changes as you go, adjust, because I think with mCaptive, well, now that I mentioned a little bit about mCaptive, can you tell us what mCaptive is? Because folks, if you're watching this, if you've never seen me have this conversation with Shannon, so Shannon has an app, a presentation app for speakers who can use this app in rooms to do presentations, to do creative and great presentations, instead of a regular slide deck, or keynote. But if you can share a little bit about that and how you actually have to adjust or make adjustments in this current crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, it is an interactive presentation tool. So instead of you just getting up in front of a room with your slides behind you and everybody sitting and staring at you and you're wondering, are they playing with their phones because they're taking notes, or are they on Facebook or Twitter watching ZEf Zan live? What we've done is we've taken it so that you can upload your PowerPoint or your Keynote or Google Slides or whatever you're using right into our software and use it as a delivery mechanism. And so what that does is it pushes the slides right out to all your audience members' devices so they can interact in real time. We have polling and questions and real-time feedback and analytics that you can get. And so it makes it much more interactive and immersive for the attendees, because they can become part of it. But it also provides the presenter with a wealth of data and analytics at the individual audience member level, as well as the slide-by-slide content level of who's engaged and what content they're engaging with. So you can know how to focus your follow-up with people, as well as how to improve your presentations going forward. And then we've also built in a sales component because as most of us know, we have a call to action generally at the end of our presentation, whether it's sign up for my next webinar or follow me on social or buy what I'm selling, whatever it may be. But people generally can't do that action until after they leave the room. So you as a presenter are left with a lot of follow-up that's time consuming for a small conversion rate. So what we've done is we've made it so you can push out targeted calls to action to all of your audience members so that they can complete that action before they leave the room. And we're seeing a 56% on average in-person on-the-spot conversion rate, and we've seen as high as 100%. So we're helping you be more interactive and engaging, get data and analytics that you can really use to improve, as well as improve your conversion rates.
I love that you actually shared that story, because now it just gave me a vision of, what we as entrepreneurs have to do, or we as business owners have to do. Sometimes, change comes during this crisis times that we, face and encounter. And upgrades and growth come during these times too. And I think for many of you folks out there and us too, sometimes, it's hard when you have the anxiety, you're thinking about the fear. And you know what? If we have conversations like this that can actually help us all grow despite the crisis, that is the awesome thing. What is one thing? So I wanted to kind of share because I didn't get a chance to actually upload, because what happened was this entire past 48 to 72 hours has been crazy for me. I have this I'm actually broadcasting from a different tool, so I'm learning too from a different tool, from a different platform, because my computer died, so I had to use my backup computer. And I'm like, I have been hyperventilating for the past few days. Should I be complaining? I think if I complain, nobody would care listen anyways. So I say, I have to figure this out. So me too, I've had to learn, and I had to like kind of dig back all my skill sets that I have had acquired in the past with using a different kind of platform and also a different PC. This is PC. I'm used to Mac. And I'm thinking, that's probably why the reason I actually click on update and shut down 5 minutes before I went live. Like, who does that? So folks, if you're tuning in, please say hello in the comments, so I can put up the what you're saying in the screen right here. And I, like Angela was in earlier, and Angela said hi, I said hi, and hi Angela. But I wanted to kind of like, as we talk, I wanted to share this screen with you. I had a conversation with my friend Shannon last week, Angeline Longshore from Hawaii, and she was kind enough to share
some. In Hawaii right now.
yeah, really. I know.
Myself under a palm tree.
I know, that would be so awesome, and get all those germs away. So she shared something, and I thought it would be great, as we just have a conversation about this experience, to kind of share with you a little bit of a footage from what that conversation was all about. And she shared about, her in the car going out to the airport, and just to kind of experience what does it look like, and maybe you and I can share a little bit about what it looks like when you go out there. So let me just go ahead. Bear with me, folks, because my screen sharing is not going to be as seamless as, if I use my other computer, but I'm just going to play it anyways. You won't hear her. You will see the video, but I'm just going to kind of play it so that you can see. So as you can see, in this video, she's showing that she just took a ride with her husband, and they were in the car. They went to the store just to kind of experience what it looked like, in the store. People were still, out in the store, but it's not as busy as it was before COVID-19. What have your experience been, your personal experience been with your local stores or things in town? What has it been like for you, Shannon?
Yeah, for me, I've been quarantined for 2 weeks now. But before that, when I did go out, when I went into the stores, it was kind of creepy. My husband and I both had this moment where it was like, oh my gosh, this is weird. We had them on separate occasions, him and Trader Joe's, me and Fairway, where we were just like, this is like apocalypse. It was empty. The shelves were empty. And then they started forming lines. We tried to go to Trader Joe's a couple weeks ago before I really started to get sick, and there was a line outside, and it was wrapped all the way around the building and up the parking lot, for you all that know the Trader Joe's on High Ridge here in Stamford, Connecticut. And it was like, nope, we're not even waiting in that. And that's when we changed and went to Fairway. But even him going out, we haven't wanted to send him out because I've been sick. And even though my test came back negative for COVID, the doctor still feels like maybe it's false negative. So we don't want to send him out, but we can't even get grocery delivery. We keep trying to order grocery delivery. And the one time we finally did get a time scheduled, they kept saying we're delayed. And then at 10 o'clock at night told us it was canceled. So we weren't going to be able to get groceries. And so we had to call the doctor, get the okay from the doctor to send Matt out and to A, pick up my prescription, and then B, get some staples we needed. And he said there was a huge line outside. He was lucky to be able to pass the line because he was going to the pharmacy. But it's been very strange and very weird. And it's like, you never thought, this is like watching a movie. It's like living
yes.
A movie you never thought
like
this.
an apocalypse or zombie movie, right? Because we're like, we never thought. I'm sorry, I'm just like trying to text and kind of bring people on the conversation in the Facebook
Guys,
Live
see,
here.
we have some folks from Canada on.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just gonna say hello to my friend Dan Gold. Hi, Dan from Canada. And Dan says, many inches of snow here. How many inches? I heard there was going to be snow today, and I'm thinking like, what snow, you know? And just wanted to say hello to Carlos, who's also watching. You speak about that. That it feels like apocalypse. I'm going to share a little bit also about. No, I'm just going to see if this comes out. Yeah, that way. So this is talk about apocalypse and all. And this is the beach of the view that Angeline shared with us in the broadcast. That people, there was no one at the beach, and this is Hawaii, mind you. And even though people did a little bit of surfing, they were doing social distancing, which is I thought was kind of interesting to see this social distancing in the water. But you're so right. She actually did also a footage where she went to the grocery store and it was this is always the joke, right? The aisle that has all the toilet paper, all the paper
Empty.
products, all gone. So speaking about Canada, my girlfriend Kayla from Canada, and she's also a coach. She's a spiritual coach, and I love to share this story because I think it's funny, and she has truth in what she said. She said she went to the store, she went to Target, and she said, you know what? I went into this, toilet paper or paper aisle. It was just empty, and she said people were just going crazy. I didn't get it. She said, my first reaction was, is this a lung thing or is this an ass thing?
That was me. I kept saying, why are people buying all the toilet paper? This is not coming out of that end, it's coming out of this end.
I know, that's too funny. But
and then the joke was on me because I couldn't get toilet paper because I didn't panic shop.
Exactly. So that's these are the things. These are the things that we're all experiencing right now, and I'm just figuring things out as we go. And maybe you can share one thing. Oh, so this is I'm just gonna put up also another this is what we're talking about, right? Angeline went to the store and she goes, what happened to all the toilet paper? And her son's walking over there, just totally out of stuff,
Those shelves actually look more full than the ones I've seen.
Really? See, right there. I'm talking about, the cleaners and all that stuff. They're all gone. So they're totally, totally empty. This is what we're talking about.
We got cleaners that aren't like Clorox and stuff. So I started taking my essential oils and I ordered more because I know, like, for example, tea tree oil, Melaleuca, kills flu virus and it's antiviral.
Empty. Look at that. It's totally empty.
Yeah. And so what I've been doing is taking our natural cleaners and adding like lemon and tea tree oil and stuff to them to help make them antibacterial and antiviral and stuff.
Yeah. So, we've all had to resort to skills that we've probably developed over time. And I'm glad that we actually are sharing this because here's the thing. There was a broadcast that I did that I invited my Europe connection in South Africa. And it's just so overwhelming because in that broadcast, I had a friend of mine, Nazim from Italy, who was in that time 3 weeks into quarantine. I think 3 or 5 weeks into quarantine. That was really, heartfelt because I got to hear and experience firsthand what a local is experiencing. So that was important, I think, to share. And I think for all of us, how it affects every one of us is at a different level. And there was a picture, I can't remember, on Facebook, 4 different families experiencing quarantine a very different way, so we all have to be mindful. So if there was one thing, I don't know if you folks are out there who wants to jump into this conversation, just write in the comments and I can always put it up on screen, but would love to hear what everybody wants to share. But before we go, because I just don't want to keep this conversation for too long, but before we go, Shannon, is there one thing, let's just say you went out there and you saw something and you experienced something that you go like, people shouldn't be doing this amidst a COVID-19. I don't care if they're being nasty or kind, but is there something that you've seen or experienced and you go like, you know what, we all could do better as a human being, and maybe that could be your tip as how we would live our lives forward amidst the COVID-19 that you could probably share with our audience today?
Yeah, so there's been several things I've thought of. At first, I was getting kind of frustrated seeing people with the masks on out in public when I have a sister who's a nurse that can't even get the proper PPE. I worry about her. She has a 3-month-old baby at home and she's going into the hospital on the front lines. And she said they're not even able to wear masks in the emergency room unless they know they're working with an actual COVID patient because there just aren't enough masks. But then, my husband reminded me, well, it's also good that people are wearing them because they're preventing the spread of it. And so, I think if there's anything we can do, I'm still seeing people that aren't social distancing and people that aren't really taking this seriously. And so take it seriously, even if you have no symptoms, social distance, stay home, wear a bandana over your face if you can't get a face mask, just be really careful. And then the other thing is, if you have had it and the doctor says it's safe for you to be out, there's a lot of soup kitchens and food pantries that need help right now because of all the people who have lost jobs and stuff. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say it's okay to go do this, but I have been reading articles saying that they believe there's a low chance that you would get it again until it mutates if you've already had it and recovered from it. So if the doctor says it's okay and you can go out and volunteer your time to help in some of these places, then I would say go do that. But if you can't, find ways people are making face masks at home. Use your talents to help provide for people. What we're doing within Captive is we're giving it away free right now. We do have an opportunity to make money right now because we have a software people need for online meetings and events, but we're saying, amid this crisis, let's just give it away. We're giving it away 6 months free to education and educators and students and a month free for everybody else. So let's just, whatever you can, find a way to do your part to help others right now.
I agree with that. And as we say goodbye, I just wanted to put this up. We're talking about masks, right? So I found this video. In fact, it's like, oh my God, we all can do this. And you're absolutely right. You can take an old t-shirt and just do that. And that's how they showed it. And I think it's really cool. And we all can do this. Find your bandana. So what I've done, I should have brought it off of this broadcast. My bandanas, I fold it and I just put 2 ties and it just works perfectly. And I think we all have to be mindful about, helping others too and being kind, because it's so important to stay kind in this amidst the crisis. And for all business owners, entrepreneurs out there who are probably, going through a hard time, but it doesn't need to be hard, but it just keep on moving, keep it moving forward. There are skills. I am so sure there's some things, if you go through your checklist of your to-do checklist, you'll find 5 things that you need to do right now before we come out from all this in maybe 30, 60, 90 days. And they'll just help to set a foundation for what will be in the next, few days or a few weeks, a few months. So thank you so much for being here, Shannon. You're welcome.
Thanks for doing this, ZEf. I think this is absolutely wonderful that you're providing this positive inspiration for people to keep moving forward when there's so much negative coming at us right now.
And I think it's really important because, we don't see too much of that, in social media, traditional media, because traditional media every day is news. And it's just like, I've not seen much of that lately. So I figured, if I have global connections who can actually share firsthand knowledge or experience about what they're going through, maybe they're doing something that we didn't think about that can keep us moving, then why not, right? Because we can only use that kind of motivation and inspiration. So thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
this, with me today and our folks out there. Folks, be sure to connect with Shannon. Her Facebook profile is here, and I'll put in her Encaptive website, or you can actually put that later on once we're done, and people can still, reach out to you on your business page. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.